In a military that operates Raptor stealth fighters, A-10 tank busters, B-52 bombers, and Harrier jump jets, the U.S. Navy's placid-looking E-6 Mercury, based on the 707 airliner, seems particularly inoffensive. But don't be deceived by appearances. Though the Mercury doesn't carry any weapons of its own, it may be, in a sense, the deadliest aircraft operated by the Pentagon, as its job is to command the launch of land-based and sea-based nuclear ballistic missiles. Of course, the U.S. military has a ground-based Strategic Global Operations Center in Nebraska and land-based transmitters for communicating with the nuclear triad. However, the E-6's sinister purpose is to maintain the communication link between the National Command Authority, starting with the President and Secretary of Defense, and U.S. nuclear forces, even if ground-based command centers are destroyed by an enemy first strike. In other words, you can chop off the head of the U.S. nuclear forces, but the body will keep coming at you, thanks to these Doomsday planes. The E-6's basic mission is known as Take Charge and Move Out, TACAMO. Prior to the development of the E-6, the TACAMO mission was undertaken by land-based transmitter and later EC-130G and Q Hercules aircraft, which had very low-frequency radios for communications with Navy submarines. Interestingly, France has also operated its own TACAMO aircraft until 2001 for modified Transall C-160H Astarte transports, which maintained VLF communications with French ballistic missile submarines. The first of 16 E-6s entered service between 1989 and 1992. These were the last built in a very long line of military variants of the venerable Boeing 707 airliner. In particular, the 707-320B Advanced, also used in the E-3 Sentry. Bristling with 31 communication antennas, the E-6As were originally tasked solely with communicating with submerged Navy submarines. Retrofitted with more fuel-efficient CFM56 turbojets and benefiting from expanded fuel tanks, the E-6A could remain in the air up to 15 hours or 72 with in-flight refueling. To use its very low-frequency radios, an E-6 has to fly in a continuous orbit at a high altitude with its fuselage and tail-mounted VLF radios trailing 1 and 5 mile-long wire antennas at a near vertical altitude. The VLF signals can be received by Ohio-class nuclear ballistic missile submarines hiding deep underwater thousands of miles away. However, the VLF transmitter's limited bandwidth means they can only send raw data at around 35 alphanumeric characters per second, making them a lot slower than even the old 14K internet modems of the 1990s. Still, it's enough to transmit emergency action messages, instructing the ballistic missile subs to execute one of a diverse menu of pre-planned nuclear attacks, ranging from limited to full-scale nuclear strikes. Between 1997 and 2006, the Pentagon upgraded the entire E-6A fleet to the dual-role E-6B, which expanded the Mercury's capabilities by allowing it to serve as an airborne nuclear command post with its own battle staff area for the job. In this role, it serves as a backup for 4 huge E-4 command post aircraft based on the 747 jumbo jet. The E-6B has ultra-high-frequency radios in its airborne launch control system that enable it to remotely launch land-based ballistic missiles from their underground silos, a task formerly assigned to the U.S. Air Force EC-135 Looking Glass aircraft, yet another 707 variant. The E-6's crew was expanded from 14 to 22 for the command post mission, usually including an onboard admiral or general. Additional UHF radios give the E-6B access to the survivable Milstar satellite communications network, while the cockpit is upgraded up with new avionics and instruments from the 737NG airliner. The Mercury's abundant communications gear allows it to perform non-nuclear command, control, and communications C3 operations as well. For this reason, E-6s have at times been deployed to Europe and to the Middle East to serve as flying C3 hubs. For example, VQ-4 was deployed in Qatar for 3 years from 2006 to 2009, where it relayed information such as IED blast reports and medical evacuation requests from U.S. troops in Iraq who were out of contact with their headquarters. 2 Navy Fleet Air Reconnaissance Squadrons currently operate the E-6 VQ-3 Ironmen and VQ-4 Shadows, both under the Navy Strategic Communications Wing 1. These have their home at Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma, but also routinely forward deploy out of Travis Air Force Base in California and Patuxent River Naval Air Station in Maryland. At least one E-6 is kept airborne at all times. E-6s on the submarine communication mission often fly in circles over the ocean at the lowest possible speed for as long as 10 hours at a time. Those performing the Nuclear Command Post mission typically remain on alert near Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska. The E-6's nuclear mission has also made its operations occasional fodder for conspiracy theorists and foreign propaganda outlets. The E-6 platform should remain in service until 2040 thanks to a service life extension program and continual tweaks to its systems and radios. While the Mercury has demonstrated its usefulness as an airborne communication hub for supporting troops in the field, the Airborne Command Post will be considered a success if it never has to execute its primary mission. The heart of a nuclear deterrence, after all, is convincing potential adversaries that no first strike will be adequate to prevent a devastating riposte. The E-6s are a vital component in making that threat a credible one.